Hey there, today we are going to be taking a look at how to find the midpoint of a line segment. So first off, a definition. The midpoint is the point on a line segment that is halfway between the two endpoints. And if we look at what I just drawn over here, the midpoint is this dot that's in green, and the two endpoints are these 2 points on the either end of the line segment. So the endpoints obviously end the line, and the midpoint is in the middle, halfway between the two. So like any other point that we have, we're going to have an x value and a y value for a midpoint. And the way we find these is very easy. For the x value, we just average the x values that we're given because the two endpoints will each have an x value, and we take the average of those, and that will give us our midpoint x value. And we do the same thing for the y values. We're going to have two y values from the two endpoints. We average those, and that will give us the y value of the midpoint. So if you were looking for something like a formula, we would have x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That's it. Let's take a look at a couple example problems. Alright, so we have 2 points here for our first problem and 2 points here for our second problem. The important thing to do is to make sure you know what's what. So we've got x1, y1, I'll make that a little darker. And then x2, y2. So if I use my formula, I would have x1 plus x2, so 3 plus negative 5, divided by 2, and then 4 plus 12 divided by 2. So 3 plus negative 5, that's the same thing as 3 minus 5, so that's going to be negative 2. And then 4 plus 12, that's 16 divided by 2. And negative 2 divided by 2 will give me negative 1. And 16 divided by 2 will give me 8. So if you were to graph these points out, these 2 points being our endpoints, you'd find that this point, negative 1, 8, is halfway in between both of those. And if you really want a challenge, you can use the midpoint along with either of the endpoints to check with your distance formula. If you were to plug our first endpoint and the midpoint in, you would get the same distance as if you plugged the second midpoint, the second endpoint and the midpoint in. Let's do the same thing here with the second one. So once again, x1, y1, x2, y2. And if we plug into our formula, I would have 11 plus 8 over 2, and then 5 plus 2 over 2. Well, 11 plus 8 will give us 19, and then 5 plus 2 will give us 7. Now, if you divide these out, you'd get a decimal. That's okay. Some of these will come out to be decimals. And here we would get 9.5. And for the second one, we would get 3.5. So this point has some decimals in it. That's okay. Some of our answers will. But this point, 9.5, 3.5, is halfway in between our two endpoints, 11.5 and 8.2. So that's all there is to it.